When you see a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, you're looking at a floating fortress, this incredible symbol of power. But here's the thing you don't see, the hidden city that's packed inside. And for the thousands of sailors who live there, daily life is a world away from anything you could possibly imagine.
Okay, so first, let's just wrap our heads around the scale here. A single one of these carriers is home to about 5,000 sailors. That's literally the population of a small town.
And that's really the heart of the issue, right? You've got this massive population living and working all crammed into a giant steel box, where the whole idea of personal space just vanishes. Almost every single moment of your life is a shared experience.
So you gotta wonder, forget the billion-dollar jets and the high-tech weapons for a second. How do thousands of people do the most basic human things, like sleeping, washing up, grabbing a meal, in an environment this extreme? Well, as you're about to see, the answers are absolutely wild.
All right, let's start with the most basic thing, sleep. And as this title kind of hints, the sailors themselves have a pretty dark nickname for where they sleep.
Officially, they're called racks, but the unofficial name, coffin lockers, that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, let's be real. These aren't bedrooms. They're basically human-sized storage units, stacked 3 high in these huge crowded rooms called berthing compartments.
So let's break down just how small we're talking. First up, the length. Your rack is exactly 72 inches long. That's just 6 feet. If you're tall, too bad.
Then you've got the width. It's only 26 inches across. That's barely enough room to turn over without your shoulders hitting the sides.
And this is the part that gets me. You have just 20 inches of headroom. That's from the top of your mattress to the bottom of the bunk right above you. We're talking less than 2 feet of space. You can't even sit up. Just try to imagine that.
And remember, you're not alone in this tiny space. Not by a long shot. On the older Nimitz-class carriers, a single one of these rooms could have up to 100 sailors in it. The newer Gerald R. Ford-class carriers have made it a little better with smaller 40-person compartments, but it's still an unbelievably crowded way to live.
And hey, if being packed in like sardines wasn't enough, try to imagine sleeping while 50,000-pound fighter jets are literally slamming onto the flight deck right over your head. When flight ops are running 24/7, a jet lands roughly every 45 seconds. Sailors just have to learn to sleep through that unimaginable noise and the violent shudder that shakes the entire ship.
Okay, so sleep is obviously a huge challenge. But what about something as simple as taking a shower? Well, on a carrier, even that becomes a high-pressure, timed mission. This is the legendary Navy shower. See, fresh water on a ship is like gold, so every single drop counts. Here's how it works. You get 15 seconds to get wet, then water off. You lather up, then you get a final 30-second blast to rinse off. All in all, the water is running for less than a minute. That's it.
But it's not just about saving water. The whole plumbing situation can get, well, pretty grim. The bathrooms, or heads, are shared by dozens of sailors. And the vacuum toilets on the newest multi-billion-dollar carriers, they are notorious for clogging, which sometimes leads to ship-wide sewage overflows. It's a gritty, unglamorous reality that can cause real health problems for the crew.
So you've tried to sleep, you've taken your 45-second shower, now it's time to eat. And let me tell you, feeding a floating city of 5,000 people around the clock is nothing short of a logistical miracle. I mean, just get a load of these numbers. The galleys on board serve about 17,000 meals every single day. That might include 1,600 pounds of chicken just for one day. And the cost to feed the entire crew? It can run up to $65,000 a day. It is a massive industrial-scale operation.
And because the ship never stops working, the kitchen never stops either. You've got your standard breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But then you also have mid-rats, that's midnight rations. It's a full hot meal served for all the sailors pulling those overnight shifts, making sure everyone has a chance to eat no matter when their workday begins or ends.
But for all this industrial-scale logistics, it's the small comforts that make a huge difference for morale. The ship's bakery is always going, and as this quote shows, something as simple as the smell of fresh bread or cookies floating down a hallway can be a powerful, powerful reminder of home when you're thousands of miles out at sea.
So when you put it all together, the coffin-like beds, the timed showers, the constant earth-shaking noise, it all leads to a really important question about the people at the center of it all. How do you not just survive, but actually function under this kind of relentless pressure?
And the answer? Really, it's pretty incredible. It all boils down to resilience and this powerful sense of camaraderie. These shared hardships, they're not just things to put up with. They are the very things that forge this unbreakable bond among the crew. They have to rely on each other, and they become a family, supporting one another through deployments that last for months in some of the most challenging conditions you can imagine.
You know, it's so easy for us to look at an aircraft carrier and just see the jets, the technology, the sheer power. But as this quote reminds us, the real strength of that ship isn't just the steel and the weapon systems. It's found in the character, the resilience, and the spirit of the 5,000 sailors who call that floating fortress their home.